Hello from sunny, dry, never rains Fort Lauderdale, where we all swam to Publix this week to get our daily bread. We survived. People, it was a hurricane without the wind. It was weird, but we're all good. The storage place with all of my comics did not flood, so we have Tart. Tart exists. Our books are still alive. I called my brother and I said I'm not going to really worry about it because either they're safe or gone, and they were safe. No worse for wear. It was the weirdest week of my life with the rain. It rained like a
Kevin,
hurricane.
you're saying you're broadcasting from a FEMA tent right now?
We've got the rations. We've got the well. This is how, by the way, this is how Fort Lauderdale deals with FEMA situations.
Right.
So we have our rations and we are safe. No, it was great. It was cool. I want to welcome everybody to Explain Yourself. This is the crowdfunding roundtable where we go through projects that are currently funding. Will, I have a surprise. This is the last ever Explain Yourself. Where we go through. Ooh, I heard me. That was weird. But we're never doing this again, Will. I made the mistake of watching the pilot of Facts of Life about an hour ago. And this is now going to be a Facts of Life rewatch podcast every Friday night. It was a roller coaster. It was an adventure. I don't feel safe, but I'm exhilarated. Guys, go on Tubi and watch that. It was the strangest TV show I've ever seen. Will, how was your week?
It was long, but it's over now. I've been looking forward to this all week. So good to be back.
You know what? Maybe we'll keep doing the show and we'll just do the podcast as a second show. How we usually start this off is everybody gets a chance to do a 30-second pitch on the project that they are currently running. And Amy, you have some people watching, so let's give them what they want. And if you were at a comic convention in about 30 seconds or less, how would you get somebody's attention about Jackie and the Magical Guys?
Well, I would like them to imagine an apocalyptic future where there is barely anyone surviving and there's a small band of humans as the only survivor. And there's this one genius, amazing scientist, but she doesn't save the world. It's her daughter that can't even find her own dignity. So the scientist sends her daughter back in time to our timeline to prevent the end of the world. And the one thing her daughter's supposed to find are strong female warriors. And instead of finding strong female warriors, she gets cornered by a monster and transformed 4 guys into magical girls. And now they hate her. They don't want to work with her. And they just don't want to deal with her ever again. So it's a tale of friendship, love, just coming together as a team, and a lot of character growth, pretty much. So that's Jackie and the Magical Guys.
Super excited about that. James or Dan, who wants to tell us about a real snobber knocker?
That's slobber knocker.
Yes.
Sorry, I got weird.
My contacts washed out in the flood. I apologize.
So I got like a weird echo going on, so I hear everything a few seconds later. So a real slobber knocker is a wrestling comic. It's a pro wrestling comic. And it's really following 2 best friends, lifelong wrestling fans who are coming up through the indies together. And right when they get their big break as to go into the major leagues of pro wrestling, they are something tragic happens and they basically get split apart. And we follow them on this journey as they split apart and then ultimately come together against each other in the biggest match of their lives. So this first issue that we're running a Kickstarter campaign for is for that first rise of the new Kicks, this tag team, as we kind of get to know the characters and learn a bit about their lives and what this the beauty of pro wrestling essentially.
Awesome. All right, and Chris, it's pretty easy to get people excited about a badass girl, but how would you specifically get us excited about the comic?
Well, my table pitch is that Badass Girl was orphaned in the alien invasion that wiped out the Earth and most of humanity, and raised in the forest by a mysterious Chinese woman who turned her into a weapon for justice. And now, with no home, no family, no friends, she walks the post-apocalypse Earth, kicking ass for justice.
Nice. And this is one of those times where Will and I have to be interlopers on our own show. I'm running a campaign for Tart number 15, A Deal with the Devil. Tart Acid is a time-traveling demon hunter. She wakes up at the beginning of most adventures without any idea where she is or when in time she is. But
It's happening, Kevin.
It has happened.
the curse of
He knows there's a
Kevin's.
of course, during my pitch, right? During my pitch. You know what? We'll get into the deep dive on me later. Let's do it. And we lost some people here, so you know what? This is the way my week has been with the storm. So if I go away, keep going. It'll go perfectly fine. Amy, you went first on the deep dive, or went first on the pitch. So let's do it on the deep dive. I will pull up the page. And while I do that, how did you get your team together when this idea came about?
Pretty much I found them online, as everything is pretty much virtual nowadays, working as a team. They have, let's see, they're from all over the world. So I have several artists. My main one, he resides in Indonesia. He's very talented. He goes by the name Hammonds. It's been such a blast working with him, and pretty much whenever I send him a script, he's just really good at interpreting the humor of it all. There's like a lot of dad jokes in this story. It's very like if you watch Scott Pilgrim or read Scott Pilgrim, it's just kind of like that modern, but like little moments of slice of life and humor and just like everyday moments. And obviously like a younger high school sort of cast. But it's just been a lot of fun to write. And I just kind of wanted to write a love letter to Sailor Moon and just kind of turn it on his head a little bit and combine Eastern and Western elements. Because I was born here in the US, born by refugee parents. So they're from Laos, and there was just a whole political ordeal over there, and they had to escape and come to America and provide a better future for me and my sister. So it was just I felt like just kind of taking that like Asian heritage and just like Asian comics and just bringing it to the West and just combining it together, because I grew up on a lot of like fun cartoons. I like Young Justice. I like so many like amazing, like DC has some great animation. So I wanted to bring that and that art, and you can kind of see it's not really like black and white manga style. There's like color there, and like even if you just look at the artwork, like you can kind of just see a little bit of like, hey, maybe like that Teen Titans sort of like look. But I just want to combine both audiences and just bring that alive, because a lot of like comics in like the Western audience, like it's very, very fast paced, whereas like I feel like if you read manga, it's a little bit slower to get to certain parts. Like if you watch like Dragon Ball Z or read Dragon Ball Z, like there's a lot of dialogue before you get to the fight and the action. So here I'm just like, okay, let's get to it, because I have a filmmaking background and I write scripts. So I just kind of know that every single panel is not going to be wasted. Every page is not going to be wasted. Everything has a moment to it and a moment to shine. And that's pretty much what I put in my work. And as you can see, as you're scrolling down, I didn't want to spoil too much. It's kind of like a retelling of a fairy tale. Each guy, when they transform into a magical girl, they become like a fairy tale creature. So the Red Hood is a little bit obvious, and then the water character Reed, and that one's an obvious one as well. So I think you can guess those. So the other two might be a little bit more mysterious. So I just kind of try to hide a little bit with the little spoiler blur effect. But I also have a free interactive comic, and that's some of the reward tiers, as you can see there, like a shiny little poster. That's also my horror comic, because I write horror and comedy. It's like for me, two sides of the same coin, and you want to go to both extremes pretty much. And I was at WonderCon recently in Anaheim, California, and that was one of the posters we were selling with my artists. So yeah, and we have like keychains. But this is like my heart's in this completely, as many of you are, all you creators. Like I'm sure you put your blood, sweat, tears into it, and that's why I can kind of I can vibe with you really well and how much effort you put in your work, because I'm in the same shoes. This is what I love doing, because this is what I look forward to every day. I just came from work, so I work in like accounting and real estate, and I'm always going back to comics. I'm always like, this is like my craft. And I let all my frustration at work here on the pages. And sometimes I put in the characters or situations or the antics and the growth, the character arcs. It's
Right.
all there. So I don't want it easy in the very beginning. I want these characters to not like each other. And that's how they begin at the very start. So and also I just thought it was funny. I know this is off topic, but James has like a wrestling comic, and I was a wrestler in high school. I was the only girl on the team. So it's it's fun. I'm not a good wrestler though. I'm pretty bad, but I won my first match, and that's probably the only match I won. But thank you for sharing that. I'm happy to be here and happy to share my work.
One thing that was unique is using the spoilers on the page, kind of protecting that element. At what point, when you were creating the Kickstarter page specifically, did you decide to hold that back? And what was kind of the internal deliberation in making that choice?
I wanted it to be like a fun mystery, because like I feel like if I lay all my cards out on the table, then where's the enjoyment out of the guessing who this character is going to be and what they're going to look like? Because I know that if you go to the because I was at Comic-Con San Diego, I was at WonderCon, and I do have the posters revealed, so attendees can purchase the posters and they can see what the characters look like. And in fact, I had a huge cardboard standout character of one of the magical guys. So someone actually recognized that character. They're like, "Oh my God, that's the character from the last convention." And that made me really happy. So I was just kind of 50-50 about putting that character in my Kickstarter. But I don't know. Like I feel like just I want to have that like appeal, like the appeal of not knowing. Because some stories you can kind of like, we read so many stories where we can kind of guess the ending or guess where a story's going to go. Like we're at the age where like our cell phones are glued to our hands basically, but I just want to keep something a little bit mysterious out there.
Now,
Just a tiny bit.
a little callback. I dare you to watch the pilot of Facts of Life and guess where that is going. I dare you.
Okay, I'll have to check it out then.
It's on Tubi for free, and I'm telling you, it is an adventure.
Okay.
But no, I think it's a great idea to keep that sense of adventure. A lot of times, I'll try to hold off on either the villain of the piece or the concept of the piece or what's going on.
Yeah.
And I think it's great to have. And it also makes people excited. Like, what is behind that spoiler? What am I going to see? So I thought it was a good choice.
Yeah, it's like a little Jaws moment, a little bit. Like just not seeing the monster or not seeing what it is gives you that anticipation of wanting to delve deeper into what this is. And that's yeah, that's what I'm just trying to get. I'm trying. I'm trying. But yeah, gosh, I don't know. Like I feel like it's gonna get darker though. It looks really girly, like at first, but I'm surprised that I'm having some backers that are on more of like the audience base is kind of more men right now. So I'm kind of shocked about that, but happy about that at the same time. But I promise it's gonna get a little darker. It's not gonna be all fluffy unicorn rainbows like you're seeing on my screen right now. So.
There's nothing wrong with fluffy unicorn rainbows, though. So
That's right.
to be clear.
Which sometimes,
need that.
yeah, sometimes we want to explore our feminine side. That's fine, and you almost give us that option with it. I did notice that one of the themes was time travel. I'm obviously slightly interested in that. So one question that I ask myself, and I put it this way: is it Back to the Future time travel, or is it Terminator time travel? Meaning, are we an infinite loop that our characters can't fix, or is time splintering in your time travel universe?
Definitely the second option, splintering. In fact, like some of my friends, when they took over my booth, they actually tried to pitch this comic as Terminator. They're like, "Do
Okay.
you like They were asking every single person passing by. They're like, "Do you like Terminator? You're gonna like this." And then for some reason, people really stuck to that, and they actually stopped by the booth and they wanted to listen in. But it's not gonna be as I feel like yes, there's action, but it's not gonna be as like grisly like that
Mhm.
that feel that grungy feel that Terminator is. It's more just like whatever happens going to our present time will affect the future timeline, and also who knows what sort of relations this timeline can create in the future, like just characters like children or whoever that's going to come back. It's similar to that in a sense with Terminator. So I feel like it's not going to be too chaotic where we're going to have multiple like time streams and then people going back and affecting certain situations. I don't know if my brain's right there yet, but we might get there eventually. Not now. So we'll see. But yeah, but I like Tart. I read it too, and I really enjoy it. And I feel like Tart Acid is just like really the strong character that just, the first issue where she finds, well, oh, I shouldn't spoil anything, but she's looking for a boy. So I was just like, oh man, like I really like Tart as a character too. And I like that she goes everywhere and even very far everywhere. So I
Well,
think, second issue.
I
Tart,
absolutely. Yeah.
Tart is a badass girl. I'm just saying.
I really want to get you with Ludo because one of his favorite hobbies is drawing Sailor Moon. So when you talked about it being an homage to Sailor Moon, I'm like, okay, I've got to send an email between Ludo and Amy because he'll just love what you're doing, and I won't speak for him about what he might do, but who knows if Ludo could draw you something cool.
Please. Buddha.
So we've
He
got
well, everything he draws is cool, Kevin. Okay.
Yeah, he's capable. Certainly.
he's certainly amazing.
And he'll draw anything for money.
So we're at 75 backers already, which is awesome. Almost $6,000, which is great. So you are almost at that super magical, almost undefeated 50%. So the campaign is doing great, and you are kicking ass already. So, but let's keep it up. I believe that you've got the graphic novel, you've got PDFs, and you've got like the trinkets and things.
The grab bag, yeah.
So, what are you telling people what's in the grab bag, or is that?
Oh yeah,
mystery?
they could. It's going to be random. So some of the items are randomized. It's based on what we have in stock, but overall, it's what they see on the page itself, and just like the cell phone charm, the posters, art prints. Also, our top reward is dedication. So I don't know. This entire story can be dedicated to you or someone of your choosing. Who knows? So that's very exciting. And someone made a joke of, they made like a crass joke, but I just thought it was funny. And I was like, really? The first page someone sees is like dedicated to insert cross joke here? Really? I'm like, I mean, I wouldn't mind, but it goes with the humor of the story. But yeah, sure, I guess.
Well, I think it's Charlie Stickney who says, we'll put your name in it with the right to refuse. So take their money first, read their cross joke second, and decide if you put it in. But decide after the money clears.
Yeah.
And they can decide if they went too far or not. That's on them.
I'm okay with a lot. I'm okay. So, anyone out there?
There's always the put the cross joke in, and then they're sure this person gave me blank $100 to do this, and everyone's gonna go, Got it.
You could also just
Yeah.
put like expletive deleted kind of thing about it. So then they could just wonder, like, man, this was so bad they couldn't even print it.
And it's the mystery again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, I wonder what it is. Yeah, that's good. That's a good idea. I should write that down. I'm taking all your ideas.
Well, so we've got magical guys. Let's move to wrestling guys and slobber knocker. James, you have been getting into this comic writing thing for about what, a year and a half, 2 years now.
Yeah, almost 2 years. Yeah.
But this is your first comic that you're bringing to Kickstarter. How does it feel?
It's terrifying and amazing is what it is. So,
Nice.
But I'm fortunate to have a partner in crime, or a tag team partner, I guess we could say, which is aptly fit with Dan here. You know, so we've worked together before on a short that was in a Dren Productions anthology called Tales from the Bazaar, and I actually have a page of Dan's artwork hanging up over here from that story. And you know, we got together with that, and then we had this opportunity. We're both big wrestling fans, and we actually pitched to another anthology for a wrestling story. We did not get in; we were rejected. But then we're like, let's do this anyway. And that was like about a year ago. Like it took that long for us to kind of like get everything together, get all the kinks out of it. But like it's blossomed to this like great emotional story that we both are just like, you know, full of heart in this. Like our the full energy of like that, watching a wrestling match as a kid and like wanting to jump off your couch and slam onto your little brother. That's that energy and the vibe that we have into every page of this book.
Nice.
Yeah, the artwork's visceral. I love it. I love the feel of it.
Yeah,
So,
Dan's doing
yeah.
great in there. Dan, what you want to talk a little bit about, like how you came at some of these designs?
Let's see if
You
we
got your
got
Dan?
it.
Yeah. A lot of it was just trying to. I mean, I go to a lot of. Oh my. I've gone to a lot of indie shows in my area, whatever, and you see everybody has their own gimmick, and everybody it's totally unique gimmicks. And I think I've slowly been building a Rolodex in the back of my brain of all these different gimmicks and costumes and characters everyone played. And as we're working on these pages, it's just kind of like second nature bring out to be like, oh yeah, I remember there were those guys who thought they were like claims adjusters. Let's put them in, like stuff like that. That's how it's really been coming out.
So
Well,
James,
we've got Amy on the show, who's a wrestler and an accountant. So
It's it's true life that works.
so James, this is your first, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's my first Kickstarter campaign that I run. Yeah,
is it? I like to describe it to people, you know, that don't do this when they ask. It's like pushing a boulder uphill with a noodle,
Mhm.
right? I mean, there's just so much. Hey, we know that guy, right?
Yeah.
Kevin?
yeah, good guys, James Powell.
Yeah. There's just so much that goes into not only creating the book, right? But then the Kickstarter itself is just a tremendous amount of work. And I think everybody here, can attest to that.
Mhm.
And then, finally, once the Kickstarter is done and, you've drug yourself across the finish line and, are emotionally spent for the next 3 months, then you have to fulfill.
Mhm.
And then lather, rinse, and repeat, right? So how are you dealing with it?
I don't know. I guess not very well just yet. We're still trying. I think look, we're fortunate that the campaign is funded. We were funded within 7 hours.
Yes.
So very excited for that. We did launch on WrestleMania weekend, so that was like key. We definitely had the marketing hats on there, thinking like WrestleMania is like the Super Bowl of professional wrestling. So like it's never in the zeitgeist as much as during that weekend. So that was very much key for us launching. It's like, otherwise, if we didn't do that, like we would have waited a whole other year to do it again because it's never that big. But so I think that the fact that we're at goal, we're actually 200% at our goal now is like this thing's happening. Now it's just like, how high can we go? We actually hit 100 backers earlier today. That I was, ecstatic about. So now it's like, all right, like we kind of hit the goals, the milestones we were really hoping to achieve with this in terms of funding. We've doubled the funding, and now it's like, all right, 100 backers. Like what else can we do? So it's kind of exciting to like we got those nervous parts out of the way, and now it's onward, and we still got like a couple weeks left in the campaign, so we're gonna see how high we can take it.
Yeah, you were coming off the top rope like Hulk Hogan came up. Now you got to come up like Jimmy Snuka, man. Like, you gotta come correct.
That's right, yeah, or better yet, modern day Montez Ford, because no one hits a frog splash like that guy right now. So like he's hitting the rafters when he jumps up that high. So
I dated when I watched wrestling based on what I just said.
everyone's got some interaction with it. I think that's the beauty of it. So like everyone's got that kind of vibe to it. Like, oh yeah, I remember this guy or that guy, and it's a fun experience.
I've told the story on the show before, but you want to hear the story about when Macho Man Savage punched my friend? I
mean, yes, obviously.
Absolutely.
Yes, please.
I think we were like 11, 12, 13, and my dad got us tickets to, the non-televised.
Yeah, the house shows.
WWF was here. So at that time I didn't realize that meant that no belts were going to be taking place. But Randy had a no holds barred match against Tito something, whatever. Randy's the star of the story.
Yeah.
And we get there and they take us to our thing and we walk up and we're literally at the entrance, like where the wrestlers come in and out. So we could high five all the good guys and boo all the bad guys. And it was great. And we were in our element. And the British Bulldogs wrestled Greg Valentine and Brutus Beefcake. And, it was awesome. Okay. So the final match was Randy coming out and of course, Miss Elizabeth was there. Well, I was about 12. I knew Miss Elizabeth was pretty, but I was 12. So, she's a pretty lady. Well, my friend Sean was 13. Stuff had, started, hormones were a little bit stronger in Sean than me. So Miss Elizabeth came within arm's reach, and Sean touched her shoulder. And Randy just went like this, straight into his stomach.
Oh, man.
Shot Sean back, basically. If we hadn't caught him, maybe into the other row. For the next 5 minutes, Sean's going. And we're just like, Randy punched our friend. And once we found out Sean wasn't going to die, all of us were like, this is the greatest moment of our life. I come back 30 years later, get back in touch with Sean and his brother Brett, and I go, I've told this story like 1,000 times. And Sean goes, I've told it 1,000,000. It was the greatest moment of my entire life. But about 2 years after it happens, I'm reading the sports page, and I see Randy Masterman Savage is being sued for punching a child at a wrestling.
He's been doing this all the time. That's it.
I checked to make sure it wasn't my friend's name, and it wasn't. Sean was like, "No, I'm not suing him. It was great." But I was like, "No, he definitely hit that kid. He definitely hit that kid. I know he hit that kid."
Oh man, Jesus, serial an audience attacker then in that case. But so let's put like those are house shows. Those are things that aren't televised. So it's like they try out some more fun stuff. They do different things. Apparently, they beat up kids. Like there's a couple of things
get away
there.
with it most of the time.
Awesome.
Yeah, pre-cell phones. So that's the other thing.
Yeah, that is very pre-cell phones. So how do you guys choreograph the matches? Do you guys talk about how you would do it if you were running a wrestling match? Is it like do you guys like? Is it written? Is it the artist? How do you guys choreograph?
I mean, to start, I wrote out the script and I had ideas for hey, this would be a good idea, or this I want to see a big drop thing, but there were elements in the script where I'm like, I don't know, do something really cool off of the top rope. Like, what do we got?
Right.
And Dan you could see in the artwork, like some of the energy that's in that, like, just went off the rails for it. It's great in the best possible way,
Mm-hmm. How do you draw say a suplex? Like, how do you find the moments in the move to put on the page?
That's honestly been the hard part, because at the end of the day we all know it's quote unquote fake. So
Are you,
any
what?
reference you're gonna get of these moves,
Kayfabe, bro.
it's way more obvious how like they're protecting each other. So it's kind of trying to find the ways where you're like, it doesn't look like he's protected, and like, well, I have the of like I could actually have these moves be real, and like your head is slamming on the mat. So that's been kind of the fun part of like trying to figure out like, okay, how do I make this look like he's actually like really getting hit here, instead of like, oh, I know that he kicked him in the hand, not in the face.
Yeah,
Right.
No one's slapping their leg in this one.
So we had the motherfucking motherfucker, and I'm blanking on the writer artist's name right now. I apologize. He was great. I think I'm fine having a little tequila. He was here having absinthe, so he wins the crown. And when you read his book, it's like in this alien wrestling world where the guy's head does get smashed and he walks off with no head anymore. So what were your discussions about, this is real world, this is wrestling is quote unquote fake. This is a show. Like, did you have those conversations, or is it just, we're going to show a real life wrestling tag team and the story that
it's really the real life aspect of it, because like it's character driven, so we're really following Brett and Jake throughout this journey, and they're moving together, and seeing that's like, this is their dream, this is what they need to do in life. So for them, it's like, all right, yeah, it's staged, it's fake, what have you, but like when they're in the ring, that's like, they're focused, they're 100% in this moment. Nothing else matters to them. And like, when they start out, they're awful, but it's like one of those things, like they have to do this. This is their destiny kind of thing. Which is what makes like the rest of the story so interesting, because what happens when that comes into jeopardy, when like something happens and you can't pursue that in the same way that you thought you were going to, like when everything you've invested your entire life up until this point is suddenly not there. How do you proceed? So that's the kind of stuff we're exploring with it. So whereas, yes, realistically, they're putting on this show, they're doing great acrobatics and all this kind of stuff in the ring, but we're focusing on that character journey as to what they're doing it, and we're using the lens of professional wrestling to tell it.
That's awesome. If it might be on the page, and I apologize if it is, how long would this series go if you continue doubling and tripling all your goals?
Three issues we have planned. So the scripts are written for all three. And James Powell, that we referenced before, was a fantastic editor for this. This was going to be 45 pages as a graphic novella, and then now it's 90 pages because he really pointed out all these moments that was like, oh, this needs to breathe more. He asked really good questions for it that was like, I don't understand why this person is reacting this way. And then I go, oh, well, because of this. I went, oh, shit, that's not on the page. That's in my head because I've been staring at this for so long. So now it's all on the page. And that's what's really coming out now.
That's exciting. All right. So badass guys to a badass girl. I'm going to pull up the page. So Joey, how did you meet the creative team and decide I want to bring badass girl? I'm sure they have a readership and it's cool, but you're bringing it to Kickstarter to try to find an even bigger audience for badass girl. So how was the meetup with you and the creative team as I pull up the page?
So this was actually kind of a cool experience. Last year, I think it was just last year that I attended my my local con out here called Phoenix Fan Fusion, and you know me,
which is not just some tiny con, by the way.
It's a pretty nice con. It's a huge con, right? But in previous years, I actually worked during the con. I worked in public relations in there. I worked in programming, and this year I was working there. But in my time off, I was going and making my rounds in Artist Alley and networking and meeting creators and looking at their projects, because I knew that there's just something that I wanted to bring to this world, right? And publish it underneath our banner. And so as I was looking through this, and I just kept going back to this one table that had this amazing looking banners behind them, right? And this is what I saw, in the background, and I saw Chris and Deb sitting there, and I was like, well, that's a great looking cover. I'm gonna go check it out. And I started talking to them. They handed me a couple of issues. I read through it overnight, and I just kept going back and talking to them. And a few months passed, and then they got a hold of me, and they said, "Let's do this, man. We love what you're doing. We love that you want to bring this to Kickstarter. Let's work together." So basically, I just bothered them at their con table and told them, "Hey, man, let's see what we can do with this, because I love this." At the time, I was working with Scout Comics.
I know them.
So yeah, I used to work for Scout Comics as their social media marketing manager, and I was like, well, I got this connection. Maybe I could pitch it to them. I no longer work for them. I work for a different publisher now. But so I was like, well, let's get this into the hands of my friends at least, and see if we can pitch it in the direct market. And so basically, that's where we kind of started with this. And then since then I started doing building Kickstarters and stuff for like Top Hat Studios and other people, like Oneshi Press and things like that. So,
Yeah.
Grandma
Chainsaw.
and so many more. We had, and we got one coming up from the Black Cotton team.
Cool.
So this was something that I really wanted to do. I really wanted to bring comic books, that I loved, and get them into your guys' hands. And I wanted to do it underneath the Geek Collective.
Yeah.
So I thought Badass Girl was a really great fit for our first, collaboration with some really great creators. I'm really excited that Chris and Deb and the crew and Brandon and everybody was really wanting to do something like this. So it was really cool to meet them and to do something like that.
So Chris, let's take it back, maybe a year or two. How did this comic come together? Whose first idea was it? Who pitched who, and how did that pitch go?
Yeah, well, like Amy, I have a bit of a film background, and I was also a high school wrestler, so I challenge you for the belt when we meet up. It's probably been a couple more decades since I've had a wrestling match than she has, so she'll probably kick my butt. Badass Girl was originally a film idea. I saw the Wonder Woman movie, the first one, and must be 2017 now when I left there. For me, there's three kind of movies. There's movies I don't like, there's movies I like, and there's movies that make me want to do something. And Wonder Woman made me want to do something. And I said, I got to write something about a kick-ass chick. And I grew up with tough girls, so I have a lot of respect for the women in my life. And at the time in Minnesota, there was like almost like a double film incentive. So you could get like 40% of your production budget returned as an incentive. So I wanted to write something that was high concept and low production value, or not, didn't cost a lot to make.
Right.
Post-Apocalypse is just a natural one for that, going all the way back to Planet of the Apes, the first one, the original, 1968. And by the way, I'm old enough to have been a fan and a weekly watcher of The Facts of Life.
Okay.
I still have a crush on Joe.
I am old enough to have been in the Joe years, but this first season with Molly Ringwald is blowing my mind.
I forgot about that. That's right. Yeah. All right.
But tune in next week. I'll tell you all about episode 2.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I'll be back. I wrote it originally as a film script, and a producer I was in touch with said, if you're going to shop this around, you have to get something on paper, a novel, a proof of concept film, I just thought, well, it's a natural for a comic book. So I went ahead and wrote it as a comic book script. Bran has been an art director for a publisher that I've done a lot of work for, a lot of contract work. So I tapped him and asked him if he wanted to do the artwork. And I wanted something that was, and by the way, I've been doing cons. I've got over 20 books in print. I mainly write fiction, and I've been going to Comic Cons for 10, 15 years or something like that, selling my books. Currently, we're only bringing Badass Girl to the cons. But anyway, so we were going for something between, that DC Marvel detail work and manga on the other side, or anime on the other side, and I think Bran really hit the mark. And I love working with him because, like working, and Amy, I don't know if I know you're a writer, you do film work, right? And I don't know if you've directed at all, but when I do a film, you have to trust the actors to bring their thing to the screen, right? And one of the things I love about working with Bran is that I'm able to trust him with the script, and he makes really cool choices of what to put on the page that I didn't expect, but is really fun to watch. That's been a lot of fun. So anyway, with COVID happening and my partner Debbie being underwater with homeschooling and all that stuff, we had to take a break for a year and a half or 2 years. So just last year, actually just right before, we actually got issue 4 delivered to our friend's place in Phoenix for the con. So we just got issue 4 finished and printed, and that completed that first story arc. And right now Debbie is writing the second story arc, and then I'll start the third coming up. So that's what, Badass
How
Girl.
do you guys trade off the volumes? Is it just what she's interested in?
Yeah, writing a comic book script is a lot like writing a film script. So she had a great idea for the second story arc, and I said, yeah, absolutely, go ahead. And then I said, okay, then I'll just write the third one, right? And then we'll just keep going, kind of keep leapfrogging as we have ideas. That way we can, we don't have to have a pause between finishing those scripts, really. And that is working out really good so far. And also, this may be an exclusive. I don't even know if Joey knows this, but Debbie is finishing the pilot script for the pitch package for Badass Girl.
That's news to me.
We have a friend, a mutual friend who is Debbie's my business partner. I've known her since high school, and she has a friend who I've made friends with who is a screenwriter and screenwriting professor and has a lot of contacts in TV. So she is finishing up that script in the package, and we're going to hopefully be shopping it around within a few months.
Fantastic.
Yeah, good luck. Really. Well, Joey, I think I might have cut you off on something.
I'm sorry, I was cutting you off. No, I was kind of going the same direction where Chris was saying that, they had the first 3 issues already printed, and recently when I met them, they had done one Kickstarter for issue 3, and it was successful, and they were telling me, we just got this issue 4 in, check this out. So I was looking through it, and it was great, right? And then I was like, well, and it was one of those things where I was like, it just kept bugging me throughout the whole con weekend. And I was like, what can we do with this thing? This thing is so cool that we can do something fun with it, right? And I don't know if you can bring back the campaign. What we wanted to do is, we wanted to, because not everybody has read issue 4 yet, right? Because it was recently just printed. So we were like, well, let's release these things in all issues, single issues. but let's do this in a trade paperback collected edition, right? And we wanted to do a really cool, sweet wraparound cover, and so we were kind of throwing around some ideas, and I think this is one of those things where you guys just said, give us a wraparound cover to brand, and he just came up with this thing here, and it came out really, really good looking, right? Yeah. We knew that we really wanted the focal point to be these two characters here, and then to show some of the other characters in the background. That was all that we gave him, and he came up with this. So, and it was really gorgeous. We wanted to do something like that. We also brought on two, some that you guys may know. We have Brian Bellondo, who is the interior artist for Top Hat Studios. He does the Pocus Hocus and Grandma Chainsaw. So he did a really gorgeous looking cover for us. And then we also have Dexter Wee, who is doing work with Henri Calpin right now. He's doing War Lion. He also has done stuff with Immortal Studios, I believe. So we really wanted to bring some really good looking stuff to this campaign. And I thought that, and we're going to be doing a really cool metal trade paperback cover of the trade. Very cool. Here, right above that trade there, is the Dexter Wee cover.
Okay.
So we had him do this really cool cover. We didn't even give him any direction. All we did was send him the books to read, and he came up with this himself. We did the same thing with Brian Bellondo, and these guys are fantastic, right? And that's our holofoil cover here.
Yeah. Amazing artwork.
We're gonna offer this. So those two covers are the variant covers, and we're also gonna offer the Brian Bellondo and the holofoil. So I just thought it was really cool to kind of do something like that. And so if you guys see, we have some of those mystery stretch goals. We have what was really cool is that we had a fan of the book. He said, "I love the way this character looks," and he hit me up. He wanted to do something really fun, and he wanted to do it for free. And I said, "Nah, dude, let's see what. Let me check this out. Read the book, come up with something cool." Mm-hmm. And he came up with that chibi style badass girl on the T-shirt. So and what it was is he sent that over to me, and it was Jay Hammond. He did some stuff for Top Hat Studios guys, and it was just really cool because he just wanted to do it as a fan art kind of thing, and just kind of like check this out, guys. And I was like, no, dude, I gotta pay you for this because I want to use this in the campaign because it looks so cool. So we made it into a T-shirt, and we have a couple of his things that we're gonna be revealing once we hit our mystery stretch goals. So, and then we also have that last stretch goal. Chris is going to be, he's working on some extras that we're going to be revealing once we hit that final stretch goal. We're going to be putting some extras into the trade paperback. Some new stuff. I don't want to give away too much, but it's going to be brand new stuff from the world of Badass Girl. And it's just going to be such a cool thing that we're going to be doing with this. So hopefully we can get you guys on board and then bring back the second arc and do some more fun stuff. But yeah,
So Chris, this crazy guy walks up and says, I'd like to publish your book elsewhere. So do you take him seriously at first, or are you just like, all right, sure, whatever, guy? And then he comes back the next day and you're like, maybe he's serious. How did that go?
Well, I was really charmed by his Sailor Moon costume, so that disarmed me.
It was totally, completely accurate.
It was exactly, except for the beard. No, I mean,
he just came there as a magical guy. There is nothing wrong.
Right.
He's just on theme.
I'm like, hey, there's a gnome walking around. I do have to say that I have been really impressed with Phoenix Fan Fusion. When it was canceled for a couple of years, it did shrink a little bit, but I think they're bouncing back. But next level organization, cosplay, everything is just amazing there. So we always look forward to going back. But like Joey said, though, it wasn't just a one-time thing. We met and then we met again, and then we talked for a while about doing something. And for us, it's like, Debbie and I are, we're in our mid 50s now, and Twitter and Instagram and that kind of thing it's not natural for us. So for me, being natural is going to cons and meeting people and shaking hands and telling stories and selling books. So we knew that we really wanted to work with somebody who has more experience and more aptitude, I guess, and motivation to do those tasks. And Joey had some really good ideas and is excited about the project and excited about Badass Girl. So that, it wasn't an instantaneous thing. And, we wanted to work with Joey because, he has a good idea of what he wants to do and how to do it. And it matched up with what we're trying to do as well.
Awesome. Well, hey, a question for you and Amy, because I'm always fascinated about how, the different formats, kind of stretch the different muscles. So, screenwriting versus comics versus novels. You guys are coming at comics from a screenwriting standpoint. How, what differences have you seen, versus your screenwriting training to how you're, executing a script, a comic script?
Budget. You can do anything you want in a comic. You can take them to outer space. You can take them deep into the ocean. But if you're going to film a movie that takes place in water, good luck. Good luck. It's not going to end well.
Yeah.
So you can lose a lot of money.
Yeah. I'm also, I write a lot of novels too. So the thing about writing both for screen and for one thing, for screen, you really have just the barest amount of description and setting that you can do. You can do a little more in comic. I try not to do too much. And only if there's something specific that I want to see or feel needs to be featured on the page, do I make note of that, in my scripts. But, the difference for me between, novel writing and writing scripts for either film or comic or graphic novels is the economy of the words. And luckily I think I'm pretty good at dialogue. So if you look at Badass Girl, you'll notice that there isn't a whole lot of narration.
Which is why I like the book a lot. I am one of those guys that is like, oh my gosh, there's so much dialogue, guys. Just dial it back a little bit. And when I read this, I was like, yes, perfect amount.
Yeah,
well, that's the whole idea, right? Like it's a collaborative medium. The words and the pictures have to work together to tell the story. And I paid my dues in a comics press, and one of my biggest pet peeves was that where it's like, I'm punching him as hard as I can. I know. I could see him punching him as hard as he can. You don't have to tell me that. Use that space for anything else.
I think one of the first things that I learned writing is that you're allowed to, in your script, write, I am punching him as hard as I can. And then when your artist gives you a page where your character is punching somebody as hard as they can, you can now erase that narration because the artist did it. There's no better writing in comics than pulling narration out that's on the page in the artwork. You've done your job as a writer if you can take your narration out, because you don't want it to say it twice. And if it says it twice, just leave the art in and take your ugly words out.
Well, use the space for like anything else. Maybe explain why you're punching him as hard as you can.
I mean, not
there's
anything
a couple
else.
things in there. Yeah.
Don't put like a Nair commercial. You'll
Just
get
a
sued.
big Biff Bang Pow on the screen there. That's it.
This is an 80s centric discussion show we're having
Guys,
tonight.
I want to talk about Timmy and Natalie more than you know.
Does Amy know what Nair is?
Sure.
Is it still a thing? Okay, gotcha.
I don't.
I have a funny Nair story, by the way.
Oh,
I don't know
yes.
if I should tell it on.
We are on After Dark, so you choose. Oh my God, Johnny knows what Nair is. We wear shorts.
Let's just say that wrestlers can be really cruel.
Oh my gosh. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I can see where this might be going. Wow.
Yeah.
Will, I think you were gonna.
Yeah, speaking to the 80s, I may not be telling a secret here, but Kevin and I are old, so there you go.
Well, I had a haircut today, and there was more gray hitting the black apron that I was wearing than red. So I know it's.
Oh man, I found new gray hairs myself recently. I said, "Oh."
This conversation's taking a really weird turn.
I know.
Here's what I don't understand.
They're
about
starting to
age.
describe me as
Oh,
distinguished.
yeah,
That's what you can expect from Kevin Joseph.
Oh my!
I didn't have
shoulder.
any gray hair until I started writing comics or had my kid, because they started about the same time, and I don't know which one did it. But I'm leaning on
All
it's
of
the comics.
Well, try getting a film made, and that will make your entire every
can
hair
only
on your
imagine.
body gray.
Only imagine. All right. Well, I go ahead, Will.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say that looks like we're kind of winding down a little bit. Do we want to go ahead and go around the horn and do 30-second pitches one more time for anybody that might have come in late?
Can your
I think you
co-host
forgot-
talk about his project?
Yeah, I mean, look, you were just talking about making comics there, Kevin. Why don't you talk about making the new
Hey,
one?
Will, remember the whole "we're not a saint" thing?
Oh yeah, I forgot completely. I always forget because we always just do
We
this,
do.
man. And
We
you're
yeah,
live.
yeah, we do forget ourselves.
Do you have a place to be, Will? I think that's it's like let's just wrap it up here. Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Okay, guys, Tart
So-
time traveling
so-
demon
so-
hunter.
Kickstarter, we're
Please
fine.
back it if you like it. I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe, guys. Well, I guess I will pull it up. Yeah, let's go from one badass girl to another badass girl with some Sailor Moon elements who will definitely wrestle a demon if she has to. Let's get. I think got everybody
There you go.
right.
There you go.
That's-
Yeah,
I think that's
just in all those boxes. Bingo. That's it.
That's your new pitch.
This was
So,
probably
Kevin-
a bad idea because I have had a little bit of tequila. So let's see what happens, guys.
Kevin, why don't you tell us about Tart? You've got this project going.
I am super excited to be releasing our 15th chapter.
Oh my gosh,
If you are new to it, as I said at the beginning, Tart is a time traveling demon hunter. She works with a group that is working against the rulers of hell. The rulers of hell have lost something in the earth. They don't know where it is in the world, and they don't know when in time that thing is. And they are sending demons throughout history to cause chaos in the hopes of bringing that thing out. And Tart and the Toxic Fruit try to solve these issues so that that thing isn't caught by hell. And basically, in Tart 14, we gave our lead character a new job. She's no longer just an errand girl. She's more of a researcher. She's going around trying to find issues as opposed to just reacting to issues. And we find her at the beginning of this issue trying to hunt down a demon serial killer. We were not able to put spoilers on this. Our demon serial killer is on the cover. There, as much as we want to be careful, this issue, we kind of laid it all on the line. I wanted to bring up this image. Ludo drew this image just because he got excited about 4 or 5 years ago. And when I saw our character Lemon Lamorgue in the coolest sword fight, in just one static image, the coolest sword fight I'd ever seen since The Princess Bride, I decided she had to have a sword fight coming. So this is sort of writer listening to an artist and going, oh, you're right, this character must fight with a sword. So Lemon's sword fight in Tart 12 is based almost entirely on how cool this image is.
That's awesome.
So yeah, Tart, this is more of it had a detective feel, and that's why Ludo basically gave me, I'm going to go down a little bit to our cover. I haven't looked at the page. This is our variant cover, and it's an homage to a 1940s film noir.
Yeah.
Ludo just painted it, and I could not have been more excited looking at it. And so I called our printer and said, "Can you guys do posters?" And they're like, "Yep." So it's our first ever poster, just because I feel like I want it on my wall. So hopefully other people want it on their wall, but whether they do or not, I'm gonna have one, which is it's kind of how you pick these Kickstarter rewards sometimes, guys. That's in the sausage. It's like, I think it's cool, so let's do it, and you just hope everybody else does. But
So, Mr. Joseph, who else is on your creative team there?
well, my co-creator is Ludovic Saleh. He's the artist, and he has done every issue except Tart 6. He was actually doing a story called Hell Strawberry before I had ever met him. And Hell Strawberry is a time-traveling demon hunter. But he had written himself into a corner with the characters. Ludo is an extremely exciting writer. He thinks, I want to draw this and I want to draw that. And he kind of figures out a way to get from here to there. And it's visceral and it's exciting, but he kind of doesn't lay tracks to go on. And so he kind of got stuck. And a mutual friend introduced us. And, you know, when you see Ludovic Saleh's art, you figure out a way to worm your way into him. And I just kind of was like, I've got to figure out how to write this Hell Strawberry, but I couldn't. It was too deep. And I woke up one night and I had an idea of a woman waking up in an alleyway, and she had no idea when she was or where she was, but she absolutely knew that there was a demon somewhere near her, and it was her job to stop it. And I literally grabbed my phone, went into the bathroom, and typed that on my phone so that when I woke up the next day, I wouldn't forget it. And
do you often write in the bathroom, Kevin?
I write wherever I have an idea. I will write in the bathroom. I will write in the shower. I will write in your shower.
Kind of hard to write with a sandwich in one hand, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, and then I sat down and I wrote what is basically Tart #1 was my audition to Ludo to see if he wanted to work with me using some of the tools in his sandbox. And the script basically started, I don't know if this is a Hell Strawberry story. It could be a new character or it could be her, but this is my idea. And Ludo said, let's do a new character. And we might be able to make Hell Strawberry be part of it. And if you've read up to Tart 10, here's a spoiler alert: Hell Strawberry is super important to our story. The one thing about Tart 15 is she's on track to try to get a demon serial killer, and she's failing. She's failing over and over again, and she's seeing victim after victim after victim. And she's offered a deal by one of the sons of the ruler of hell to capture this wayward demon. And she has to decide whether or not she's going to work with him or work on her own. It's the major conflict of the story of, does she accept a devil's help to track down a demon? These pages, Ludo, we did a prologue because the last time we saw Fork, he was basically hung up in a meat locker dying, and we had to explain why he wasn't dead. Well, the spoiler alert, he's a devil. They're a little stronger than humans and demons, but we wanted to explain why he wasn't dead. And I wrote this, and Ludo gave me these pages, and I just stared at them for an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, like, guys, if you can work with a Ludo Saleh, you figure out how to work with a Ludo Saleh.
Kevin, did you get them like inks first, or did you get them like this?
It was black and white, penciled and inked. Usually he'll give me a thumbnail, but these came pretty much finalized, and there was nothing.
Wow.
There was no. If I remember right, there was not a single note on the artwork. I moved a little bit of the dialogue around to fit what he did, but how can you give a note when somebody gives you that artwork?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The only note is thank you.
That's great.
So who's besides Ludo? Who's the rest of your team on this? I know you work
So-
with Scout as well.
Yeah. So Ludo does the pencils, the inks, and the colors. And DC Hopkins has lettered every single issue of Tart. When we started, Ludo did the lettering, and starting with Tart 4, we hired DC, and Ludo did a great job lettering. But going from a dedicated artist doing lettering to having an artist as a letterer join the book, and what DC has brought has been unbelievable. I say it all the time. Hire a letterer. They are the best value an indie comics person can possibly. Every dollar you spend on a letterer makes your book $10 better.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
And our
absolutely.
editors are Cassandra Bell, who I met at New York Comic Con. She bought Tart Volume 1, which is issues 1, 2, and 3, and Tart 4. And she and her friends went away, read them, and came back and bought Hell Strawberry trade paperback. And just we became friends on Twitter. And the next campaign, I asked for somebody to look at the Kickstarter for typos. And Cassie went through and was a bulldog about grammar. And I was like, oh, wow, she's good. And this kind of reminded me when Joey talked about taking Badass Girl home. She said, hey, I have a screenplay. Would you like to read it? And I said, I'll absolutely read it. And we've all had people give us screenplays, books, short stories, and sometimes they're good. And sometimes I'll say they're not for us because, no art is bad. Some art is not for us. And I read Cassie's screenplay and I was like, oh, she's good. Oh, wait, she can write really well and she's a complete grammar Nazi. We need her. And I just asked her, I said, well, we didn't have an editor before this. I said, would you come on board? And she was like, I'd love to try this. This is an adventure that she'd like to try. And she's been on the book since Tart 7. And when we got with Scout, I had already met Andrea Lorenzo Molinari, but Scout was nice enough to put him on. So basically, whenever I write a script, I send it to Ludo, Cassie, and Andrea. And I take all of their notes and suggestions. And you really messed this up, Kevin's. And I go back and I try to fix it. And so that's the basic team. Me, Ludo, DC, Cassie, and Andrea.
Nice. Now, this is, you don't brag, so I'm going to brag. Kevin and maybe one other creator on Kickstarter have blazed a trail for serializing, comics on Kickstarter. I mean, you're up to 15 now on Kickstarter. This is your 13th, 14th Kickstarter?
Yeah.
14th.
It was the 13th Tart Kickstarter. I did one kid's book, The Poodles of Potter's Peak. So, yeah. So 13 Tarts and one kid's book.
So, I mean, that's amazing. You've had an audience, you've kept the audience, and you've built the audience for, you're up to issue 15. That's crazy, actually. And I salute you because I am trying to follow in your footsteps, sir.
Well, it's funny. I never, when we started this, Ludo and I, we went with a guy who we thought maybe knew better, and it didn't work out. And we did Kickstarter, and we met these readers that were as passionate about the book as we were. And it never occurred to me not to go back to this source of, yes, funding. It's a very, the first thing you're looking for is money to print your book. But the money runs out. And what doesn't run out is that person that you've met that backs your Tart Volume 1 campaign and then is with you for 4 and 5 and 6. when the money's spent, that feeling of someone returning to your book doesn't go away. And this is not, like, we all know that making comics, making films is not easy, but knowing that there are these people that you might not have ever met in your corner that care about your book as much as you do, like, yeah, I'm going to stay up. I'm going to say goodnight to my wife, and I'm going to stay up and I'm going to write because, you know, Dario in England cares about my book, and I need to make sure that I have another comic for him. And there's 2, 3, you know, we hope 4, 5, 600 others just like that.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah, I think,
and I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, the feeling when the first name that you see in a backer list that you don't recognize is a really cool feeling. Because, like, oh yeah, it's one thing, like, you know, my brother backed the campaign. I've got friends and everybody that backed the campaign, other creators and whatnot. But, like, to see some random person that like I'm like, I've never heard of this person. Dan's never heard of this person. Like, where did this, like, we have no idea where they came from. But, like, they believed in the book. They threw a couple bucks in, and they want to be a part of it. That's really cool feeling.
It is, and I haven't run into that. You know, a comic convention, you get a little bit of that. But for some reason, the relationship on Kickstarter is just, it's so fulfilling and so just inspiring. The reason I come back is it feels great to be on Kickstarter. I'm excited when I'm going to be launching one, to be talking to these people and meeting a couple new people, hopefully. And there is nothing wrong with your friends and family being there for your first campaign. You need that. But they're probably not going to come back for your second or third because they're done. They did the help. You're on your own now, baby. So you better hope that you met a couple people.
Well, and you know, it's also great when you're coming around to fulfillment and you go, oh, hey, I recognize this name. They backed, the last campaign, or I recognize this international backer from the last 3 campaigns. I'm like, I have to charge them so much for shipping. And they still come back. It's so gratifying. I mean, it really is. And then also to Kevin, and partially me, I guess, I feel like Chris and James and Amy are probably so much smarter than we are, Kevin, because they did not decide to do 20 or 32 issue opuses, I don't know.
So much smarter. I bow down to your wisdom. You guys are so much smarter. There's nothing wrong with doing a series of mini-series, folks.
Yes.
Got to start somewhere. So we'll get there. But look, I mean, Kevin, did you always know that, like, how long was Tart going to be when you started it?
Oh, this is idiotic. It was going to be 42 issues.
Oh,
all right. I thought it was going to be 72, man. I thought it was
I'm a Sandman aficionado. So I thought, well, if I want, Image or Vertigo to pick up my book, because that's how ignorant I was when I was writing it, well, you have to have a very long epic story to tell. And we figured out what that would be over the long haul. And, so we started, and then we found out, oh, this is hard. And one thing, we were so ignorant at the beginning. Ludo's in France. I'm in America. And I grew up where you're used to getting 12 X-Men issues in an annual every year. And he grew up where you get one 42-page graphic novel a year. And neither one of us knew the difference. So I didn't tell him, it's going to be really great when we do 10 to 12 issues this year. And he didn't tell me it's going to be really great when we do one 42-page graphic novel this year. And we were like on issue 3 when we had this conversation. So what we've done is I've tried to get him to work faster, and he's tried to get me to work slower, and we've found our rhythm. I don't think I can see either one of us exceptionally happy with the rhythm, but our readers are with us, so you know what? That's all that matters.
Relationships are compromised, man.
Yeah. And you know what?
I still have my Tart issue 1 upstairs somewhere in my collection.
Nice. So, but I do want to tell a story, a convention story. I'm going to pull somebody randomly off of the screen. James ran across all of New York Comic Con for me. I couldn't leave my booth one time, and I wanted to get a No Angel, a special New York Comic Con Eric Palicki No Angel one. And James volunteered to go, and like Javits Center is like 7 miles long. No, I mean it's a mile.
It feels
It's a
like
mile
7 miles long. Yeah.
And James literally came. I gave him $20, and he left. And like an hour later, he came back, and I have my special edition signed No Angel #1 because of James. So like
after a day, like not even a day, I feel like you can get like a good lay of the land, because I was covering the convention, so I'm like, all right, I have to be in Artist Alley, I have to be at the panel thing, I have to be over here. So like I kind of figured out how to navigate that really quickly. So I'm like, yeah, sure, go over there. I'm gonna be over there anyway. Why not? So.
Eric, if you just asked Eric, he would have got you one, right?
Well, I don't think they weren't in touch. That was the thing. So it was like, all right, I guess how do you communicate there when you don't have anyone's number or anything? I guess like you tweet at him or something, but that was it.
I couldn't leave my table, and he couldn't leave his. It was just it wasn't going to happen, and I wanted it because No Angel's a great series, and I wanted my first special comic. So
I had the opportunity to speak with Eric. This has been years now, but he sent me one as well, and I said, "This is awesome." And I don't know if people know, Eric Palicki and his sister wrote the book, and his sister is an actress. She was in what's the
Friday Night Lights.
Shield. Agents of Shield. So,
Friday Night Lights was where I went.
And she's also going to be in that new show, what's the guy's lizard whatever movie that's coming out?
Broken
Lizard movie that's coming out. She's going to be in that one. But great story. They both wrote it. It looks gorgeous. It's amazing. Story.
And somehow the lead character of No Angel has a small.
It looks like his sister.
Just a little bit. Hey, she wrote
totally
it.
Gonna pitch it.
She wrote it. I think it's brilliant. If I was an actor and if I was an Adriana Palicki or Keanu Reeves, I might write a comic book with a character who looked like me.
I can pull it off.
So I don't know. Before we end on Tart, if you've never heard of us and you want to check us out, we've got a PDF for only $20. You'll get all 15 issues and the Hell Strawberry trade paperback, or we've got what we call an appetizer catch-up tier. You get the first 7 issues for only $30, and you get the PDF with all 15 issues. That way you find out if you like it. Give Tart a taste. If you like it, come back for more.
Yeah,
nice.
It's a fun book. I've been following it forever. I got a nice collection of enamel pins upstairs from your previous campaigns, so I'm down. Looking forward to this one.
The next one will be Fork when we do it, but our printer had a trouble with the factory, so we're waiting till they find a new factory, and we're going to do a nice Fork enamel pen.
Nice.
So.
Looking forward to it.
Nice.
Now, what Will wanted to do before I got a chance to talk about my comic, and I'm going to remember this from Crossover Division.
You mean next week?
Yeah. So somebody may have come in late and may not have heard our deep dives. Hopefully, you guys will rewatch it or listen to the podcast version. But Amy, once again, if you had to get somebody interested in Jackie and the Magical Guys, how would you lead them to your comic?
Okay, Terminator meets Sailor Moon. All right, we start off with that. So pretty much my log line is in a desperate attempt to save the world from a bleak future overrun by monsters. A time-traveling teenage girl accidentally transforms 4 disgruntled guys into magical girls to prevent the apocalypse. And on the theme of wrestling, and I'm going to talk about John Cena. His motto is "You can't see me." So hopefully that's not my Kickstarter. I hope you can see me in this Kickstarter. Okay. So I love to have you here. And I know you're going to really like it. It's really fun. It's my favorite project I've ever created. It's good.
Awesome. All right. So I think we had Chris talk about Badass Girl. So Joey, why don't how would you, if you were at a convention with Badass Girl, get people's attention?
Buy this. No, I have no idea. This is hard. I am not a comic book creator, dude. So, but
this is fun. This is fun when you have to find it in the moment. This is great.
Yeah. Post-apocalyptic world with a badass chick who saves a village from a horrible person.
Nice. That's
pretty much.
Here's the deal. What you do at these conventions is you try one, and people look at you like you're an asshole, and you're like, I'm going to try a different one next time. And you try a different one, and their eyes light up. They're like, oh, I got to remember.
I'm gonna have to do this because this year I'm gonna be attending the Phoenix Fan Fusion Con along with Chris and Deb.
That's right. We're gonna wander around, and he's gonna sit at the table this time.
There you go. They're gonna get to take some breaks and stuff while I sit and sell the books.
Well, I've had years of experiences with making my elevator pitches for scripts and books and stuff. So
nice.
He's gonna have to teach me a little bit. Yeah, he'll show me the ropes there a little bit.
So I'll say it correctly this time, James. A real slobber knocker.
There we go. I think if you're a wrestling fan and you were pissed off at the end of WrestleMania Night 2 and you thought Cody Rhodes should have won and you wanted a better ending, well, maybe read this comic. That'll make you feel a little bit better.
Nice. Get really get to the heart of people's emotions.
Just twist that knife a little bit more. Yeah. No one's bitter. No one's bitter at all about that. Yeah.
I'll go Tart 15. If you were failing at your job and you had to accept help from someone who might be your enemy, would you keep failing or would you take the chance to accept their help? So that's the core of Tart 15. Before we go out, Will, you said next week. When is Crossover Division launching?
April 18th, Tuesday. So
Nice.
Crossover Division Volume 1 will be launching on Kickstarter for a really, what I hope to be a really cool oversized hardcover, which will collect the first 4 issues.
I am so sorry that next week we're just going to be talking Facts of Life. I am so sorry. The timing is awful.
Poor timing on my part, I know.
All right. I cannot wait to find out what the next crossover is. You have had the War of the Worlds crossover. You have had Dracula. You have had not. I don't want to know this one. I want to find that out. Spoilers. We learned from Amy not to give it all away. Are we still in Shakespearean for this issue or?
Nope, we finished that off.
We finished that. That's right.
Yeah, the hardcover is going to have an 8-page bonus story that we haven't. That actually Alice is working on right now, and. It's got a French component to it. I'll just say that. How about that?
All right.
Nice.
All right. Well, I'll try to bore down on it next week. You know what? We'll wait a week. We'll get a crossover division and then we'll get whole on into Blair and no Joe yet. It's Cindy, it's Sue Ann, it's Molly. But we've got Mrs. Garrett to bring us through. And on Twitter, D-Fish actually got on me for making fun of the show because she said it's 1979. You take the good, you take the bad. And that is how we're ending with a great joke from D-Fish. Thank you, everybody that was in the comments. And I'm so excited about all these projects. And appreciate you coming on. You have another project, reach out because we'd love to have you back.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Good night,
you.
everyone.
I'm going to pledge to each one of you. Bye. Thank you.
The Explain Yourself bump.
That's right.
Woo.